let y'all know my mom is so amazing and cute.
What if the person you once loved becomes the greatest threat to your life? April 3rd, 2024. Dayton, Ohio. The clock reads 2:50 a.m. A desperate call to emergency services breaks the night silence. While the call was going on, gunshots echoed through the quiet neighborhood.
Hello? 911, we got a call from this number. Is everything okay? Where are you? Where are you?
This is the story of Montana Davis, 26-year-old nurse and mother of two adorable girls, whose life was cut tragically short by her jealous ex-boyfriend, who couldn't let go and move on with his life. Have you ever known someone who couldn't accept when a relationship was over? Someone whose jealousy turned into obsession? Or have you been in a situation where you couldn't let someone go after a breakup? Montana had just found love again after going through a messy relationship with 24-year-old Jamarte Brown, which led to their breakup. He couldn't live with the fact that she had found someone else and was happy. After a series of threatening calls days prior, he broke into her home while she was sleeping and riddled her with gunshots. Her crime? Moving on after a broken relationship. Montana did everything right. She recognized the warning signs in her relationship with Jamarte Brown. She ended things. She built a new life. She even called 911 when he threatened her that night of the incident. Yet somehow, the system designed to protect her failed in the most catastrophic way. In this story, we'll walk through the final hours of Montana's life, a woman whose compassion touched countless patients as a registered nurse, whose smile brightened rooms, and whose love nurtured her children. We'll examine how ordinary jealousy transformed into deadly obsession, and the crucial moments where intervention might have changed everything. Have you ever ignored red flags in a relationship, hoping they'd just go away? Have you watched a friend dismiss threatening behavior from an ex as just talk? Or maybe you've wondered what you would do if someone you once cared for refused to accept your decision to move on? This story matters because Montana's experience isn't unique. Every day, people face harassment and threats from those who can't accept rejection. Some survive, some doubt. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. These stories aren't just about true crime. They're about recognizing dangerous patterns before they turn deadly. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Your simple act might save a life. By the end of this video, you'll understand how quickly possessive behavior can escalate, the warning signs everyone should recognize, and the critical gaps in our protection systems that need fixing. Montana Davis deserved to live. Let's learn from her story so others can too. Dayton, Ohio, serves as a backdrop for this tragic story. Dayton is widely known as the birthplace of aviation, a hub of innovation, and features a notable network of rivers and parks. However, like many cities, Dayton faces significant challenges. Records and reports indicate the city confronts a considerable rate of violent crime, including ongoing issues related to gun violence. Born September 26, 1997, in Dayton, Ohio, Montana Antoinette Lamech Chantel Davis grew up in a close-knit community where family values ran deep. From her earliest days, those who knew her noticed something special. A natural warmth and genuine concern for others that couldn't be taught. During her years at Thurgood Marshall High School, Montana wasn't just focused on grades. While other teens spent weekends at the mall, she volunteered at local shelters and community centers. Her teachers remember a student who'd stay after class to help struggling classmates, not because she had to, but because that's just who she was. After graduation, Montana enrolled at Wright State University, initially pursuing early childhood education. But something pulled her toward healthcare. Maybe it was watching a nurse care for a sick family member, or maybe it was just her natural instinct to help others in their most vulnerable moments. Whatever sparked it, Montana found her calling and transferred to the Ohio Institute of Allied Health to study nursing. By 2024, at just 26, she'd achieved what many spend decades working toward: a career she loved, a home of her own, and a family that adored her. She'd recently obtained her registered nurse license and was already planning her next educational steps. Colleagues at the hospital described her as the kind of nurse you'd want taking care of your own mother: attentive, skilled, and genuinely invested in each patient's recovery. Her drive didn't stop there. Montane was also a successful event decorator in Dayton, balancing her medical career with creative entrepreneurial work. People who knew her described her as someone who embodied love, kindness, and intelligence. Her former principal even remembered her as being one of our very best. But Montane's proudest achievement? Her two beautiful children. In videos shared by family, you can see her face light up when they enter the room. She'd work long shifts at the hospital, then come home with enough energy to read bedtime stories and check homework. Her mom's skills were just as impressive as her nursing skills. She was going to be somebody big in healthcare, a coworker shared. The patients loved her, and she was always talking about getting more certifications, maybe becoming a nurse practitioner someday. What makes this story so heartbreaking is that Montane was just getting started. All those night shifts, all those study sessions, all those sacrifices were beginning to pay off. She was building something beautiful: a life of purpose, a legacy of care, a future for her children. Think about the Montanes in your own life, those quiet heroes who show up, do the work, care for others, and ask for little in return. Maybe you're lucky enough to have someone like that in your family. Maybe you work with someone who brings that same energy to your workplace. Or maybe you're that person for someone else. Sadly, all these super qualities she possessed would be put off by her jealous, egomaniac ex-boyfriend. Montane was building a beautiful life, marked by personal and professional success, centered around her children. And after a previous relationship had ended, she found happiness again, entering a new partnership and welcoming another child into her growing family.
You have to die.
I died off this dumb shit.
You got some water?
I'm on deck.
Then I want you to do this one chip challenge too. Then I want you to do the one chip challenge.
Why I look like you got less than me?
Bruh, we got the same amount. And yours ain't even spread all over your spoon.
You ready? I ain't trying to think about it too long. I might just do it.
I'm scared.
Shit, fuck it.
I'm scared.
Come on. You ready?
I'm scared.
Come on, pussy. You got some water. If you die, I don't know CPR, none of that shit. You the nurse.
You gotta go first.
Shit.
You gotta go first, then. Why would you?
It ain't going nowhere.
Eat it.
It ain't going nowhere. What the fuck? What the fuck?
However, her past included a relationship with Jamarte Luttrell Brown. They dated, but eventually, Montane chose to move forward, seeking a different path for her life. She found the happiness and stability she desired. But Jamarte Brown, it seems, could not accept that her life was progressing without him. As Montane embraced her new chapter, her accomplishments, her family life, and her newfound joy became something he watched from a distance. And that distance, coupled with her happiness, created a difficult place for him to be. He struggled with her moving on. Montane was creating the life she wanted, full of promise and love. She was happy, but her happiness became a source of intense difficulty for the man she had left behind. What would happen when his inability to cope collided with the reality of her moving forward? It makes you wonder, doesn't it? How hard is it for some people to accept that a relationship is truly over? What unseen pressures build when someone can't move on from another person's happiness? And what kind of strength does it take to build a new life, knowing someone from your past is watching with resentment? Have you ever had to cut someone out of your life who couldn't respect your boundaries? Or watched a friend struggle with an ex who just wouldn't let go? The line between persistent and dangerous isn't always clear until it's crossed.
Somebody count with 3, 2, fuck it, come on, 1. Go.
It's nasty as fuck.
Fuck. Ugh. It's nasty.
Montana shared her happy moments with her found love on her social media. Finally, she was happy again. Together, they welcomed a new baby. He was a loving young man who showered love and support for Montana and her kids. That difficulty Jamarte Brown felt watching Montana move forward didn't remain a silent struggle. His inability to accept the end of their relationship, fueled by seeing her happiness unfold, even through social media, began to surface. He wanted her back by all means necessary. On March 28th, Montana received 47 text messages in a single day. The content shifted from pleas to get back together to explicit threats. "If I can't have you, nobody will," read one message recovered by investigators. Another stated, "I know when your kids are home alone." Security camera footage from Montana's home captured Jamarte driving past her house 6 times on March 30th. Twice, he stopped and sat in his car for over 30 minutes, watching the property. His reaction wasn't quiet. It was relentless. Calls, texts, constant communication that Montana did not welcome. It quickly moved beyond unwanted contact to something far more troubling. Threats. The language grew more aggressive, the intent clearer. The threats escalated until they reached a terrifying peak. He made his intentions explicit that night, threatening to harm her, threatening specifically to shoot up her house, and he knew her children were inside. Montana was gripped by fear, a fear intensified by knowing her young daughters were with her. She understood the severity of the danger she was facing. She wasn't passive. She took steps to protect herself and her family. She called a friend, asking them to come stay with her for support on that frightening night. And crucially, she reached out to the authorities. She made the courageous decision to call 911, relaying the disturbing threats and naming her ex-boyfriend as the source. She put her faith in the system, hoping for protection. But when you're facing a threat determined to reach you, how do you truly escape it? Montana had done everything she could think of. She alerted her friend, she called emergency services, she named the man threatening her life and the lives of her children. Help was now aware of the danger. But was awareness enough to stop a threat already in motion, a threat closing in on her home? It forces you to consider, how do you gauge the realness of a threat? What does it feel like to be so afraid in your own home that you call someone to stay with you, call emergency services, state your name and the name of the person you fear? Think about the unimaginable stress Montana must have been under in those hours and days prior. And what about the friend who came to be with her? The fear they must have felt. How could one person's inability to move on cause such terror? The call for help was made. Awareness of the threat was established. But the threat wasn't waiting. In the early morning hours of April 3, 2024, around 2:49 a.m., as emergency dispatchers received the report of a potential shooting, Jamarte Brown arrived at Montana's home. He didn't knock. He didn't ring. He came with force. Violating the supposed safety of her home, he kicked in the back door, then the back garage door. He was inside. The man she feared was now in her most private space. He found Montana in the kitchen. And there, in her own home, Jamarte Brown shot her multiple times with a firearm. A sudden, brutal act of violence after moments of terrifying intrusion. The medical examiner would later determine she suffered 5 gunshot wounds in total, to her shoulder, back, abdomen, and chest. The final shot was delivered at close range to her head. Inside the house, Montane's friend was awakened by the sounds. Confronted by immediate, extreme danger, she reacted in a desperate fight for survival. She was on a call with the 911 dispatcher when gunshots rang out and the call ended abruptly. She used her own firearm, discharging it at Brown in an attempt to stop the attack before fleeing the residence to get safe. The home had become a scene of sudden, horrifying chaos. Dayton police officers were dispatched swiftly after the initial report. Upon arrival at the Torrington Place address, they entered the residence. They found Montane in the kitchen, having sustained severe gunshot wounds. Officers immediately began administering aid, working urgently to save her life amidst the aftermath. After the shooting, Jamarte Brown did not remain at the scene. He fled the area before law enforcement fully secured the location. First responders worked urgently on Montane at the scene. Body camera footage shows officers immediately beginning life-saving measures, applying pressure to wounds, and calling for emergency medical services. "Stay with us, ma'am. Help is coming. Stay with us," one officer can be heard saying as he held pressure on her chest wound. Paramedics arrived within minutes and worked frantically to stabilize her for transport. At 3:12 a.m., the ambulance departed from Miami Valley Hospital with lights and sirens, taking the fastest route possible through the pre-dawn streets of Dayton. Emergency room staff were waiting when the ambulance arrived. Montane was immediately taken to trauma surgery, where doctors fought for nearly 2 hours to save her life. Despite receiving multiple blood transfusions and emergency surgical interventions, the damage was too severe. At 4:47 a.m., Montane Antoinette Davis was pronounced dead. A nurse who had dedicated her life to saving others couldn't be saved herself. The attending physician noted in his report that even if Montane had been in the hospital at the moment the shooting occurred, her injuries were likely unsurvivable. The violence inflicted was simply too extreme, too deliberate.
A 26-year-old woman is dead, and police are looking for her killer. They said the shooting may have happened in front of her own children.
Now, this happened in Montgomery County about 3 o'clock this morning on Torrington Place, just off Salem Avenue. News Center 7's Mike Campbell joins us live with what 911 calls and police are telling him. Mike?
Well, Gabrielle, investigators downtown at the Dayton Police Department headquarters and those here at the West Patrol Operations Division tell me the entire homicide squad is working on this case. Now, you could actually hear shots being fired when one person dialed 911, and it appears the victim herself made a chilling call moments earlier.
911, what's the address of the emergency?
We are not using the audio that appears to be the 26-year-old victim. She told dispatchers an ex-boyfriend was calling her, threatening to shoot up her house, and she told dispatchers she had 2 children. Then dispatchers received a second call, they believe from another adult female that was in the house, but that call dropped.
Hello? 911, we got a call from this number. Is everything okay? Where are you? Where are you?
Police were already on the way after the first call, but more officers headed to the street and the home after the second call.
They found a female, 26 years of age, who had been shot. They did first aid at the scene, but unfortunately she passed away later at the hospital.
Dayton Police Major Brian Johns told us they are following up on some information shared with them in the 911 calls.
There is information that we are aware of, that there was like a break-in there first, that there was like a fight taking place, and then the shots were actually fired, and she was struck and killed.
Police told me their forensic services unit recovered a lot of evidence that they are analyzing. They didn't want to tell me if someone in the home returned fire against the person that broke in or not. They also wouldn't confirm if the victim's children were in the home when the tragedy took place.
I cannot comment yet on that. We do have a person of interest that we're trying to follow up on. Our entire homicide unit right now is out working this complaint, trying to bring some resolution and some justice for the victim and her family.
Back live now. Police could not tell me if they've had previous calls from the victim in this case or from the home where this happened. They are checking that, and we will let you know what they discover.
As dawn broke over Dayton, 2 children would soon learn they no longer had a mother. Parents would learn they'd lost a daughter. Patients would learn they'd lost a compassionate caregiver. and a community would learn it had lost one of its brightest lights, all because one man couldn't accept rejection. What would you say to her children if you could? How do you explain to a young child that someone was so obsessed with controlling their mother that he took her away forever? These are the impossible conversations happening in too many homes across our communities. If you know someone who's being threatened by a current or former partner, please don't wait to intervene. Share this video with them. Sometimes seeing another person's story makes the danger of your own situation clearer. Sometimes an outside perspective is what someone needs to take that crucial step toward safety. Hit that like button if you believe we need to talk more openly about relationship violence. Comment below with resources in your area for those facing domestic threats. Your local knowledge might save someone watching this video. And if you've ever helped someone escape a dangerous relationship, share your experience. Your wisdom could be the lifeline someone else needs. In moments of extreme danger like this, instinct takes over. How do you react when the threat you feared most bursts through your door? What goes through your mind when your home becomes a place of intense violence? What incredible courage does it take for a friend to face down such a threat, even briefly, to try and help? And what immense pain does a family face waiting for news at a hospital, knowing their loved one was attacked in their own kitchen? These are the kinds of questions this story forces us to confront.
Damn, cuz, you alright? What the fuck you got going on?
I need something else.
Give me that stupid ass video. Oh, stop, bro. Fuck. You about to get on my nerves, bro.
With the crime scene secured, the focus shifted immediately to finding the person responsible. Homicide detectives mobilized, beginning the methodical work of piecing together the events of that morning and locating Jamarte Brown, who had fled. We knew who we were looking for, detectives later explained. The victim had named him in her 911 call. We had his history of threats, we had witness identification. This wasn't a whodunit. It was a find him before he hurts someone else situation. The first major break came around 9:15 a.m. when a resident in the 4500 block of Queens Avenue called police about suspicious activity. The caller reported seeing a man matching Brown's description disposing of something in a storm sewer near their home. Adding another layer to the inquiry, observations were made near the same Queens Avenue location. A man matching Brown's description was reportedly seen leaving the area in a truck with two other individuals. It makes you wonder, who else might have been involved in the aftermath? And why would someone assist in trying to hide evidence connected to such a violent act? Officers responded and made a disturbing discovery, a 9mm handgun wrapped in a child's t-shirt, specifically a toddler-sized shirt with cartoon characters on it. The attempt to conceal the murder weapon showed both calculation and a disturbing disregard for the young lives affected by his actions. Ballistics would later confirm this was indeed the weapon used to kill Montani. The gun was registered to Brown, providing another direct link between him and the crime scene. Meanwhile, digital forensic specialists were examining both Montani's and Brown's phone records. They recovered dozens of threatening text messages sent in the days leading up to the murder. One message sent just hours before the shooting read, "This ends tonight, one way or another." Security camera footage from neighboring homes captured Brown's vehicle arriving and leaving the scene at times matching the 911 call. Additional footage from gas stations and traffic cameras helped police track his movements after the murder. Regardless of potential complications, the efforts to locate Jamarte Brown were swift. Later that same day, April 3, 2024, at approximately 4:10 p.m., just hours after the shooting, Jamarte Latrell Brown was apprehended in the 2000 block of North James H. McGee at Child Street. The speed of the arrest brought the immediate manhunt to a close. Jamarte Brown was then formally brought into the legal system. At his arraignment, he was presented with a list of severe charges reflecting the gravity of the allegations. Multiple counts of aggravated murder and murder, alongside charges of aggravated robbery, aggravated burglary, felonious assault, and tampering with evidence. The sheer number and nature of these charges speak to the extreme violence and suggest possible intent beyond just the shooting, perhaps linked to the forceful entry. His bond was set at a significant $1 million. The legal proceedings continued. Brown entered a plea of not guilty by reason of insanity, leading to a court-ordered mental evaluation. Ultimately, in September 2024, a judge ruled that Jamarte Brown was competent to stand trial. Jamarte Latrell Brown remains in custody awaiting trial, having been found competent to face the allegations against him. While the person accused is apprehended and the legal process is underway, the full pursuit of justice, understanding the complete motive, the potential involvement of others, and reaching a final verdict in court, is still an ongoing fight. Have you ever wondered what goes through an investigator's mind when they're hunting for someone who's just committed a violent crime? The urgency, the pressure, the knowledge that every minute counts? Or what about the mind of someone like Brown? How does a person go from loving someone to deciding that if they can't control them, they'll destroy them? What happens in that psychological journey from affection to obsession to violence? Drop a comment about what you think drives this kind of possessive behavior. Is it cultural? Psychological? A failure of our social systems? Your perspective might help someone else understand the red flags in their own relationships.
And only on two, family and friends of a Dayton shooting victim gathered minutes ago with a balloon release to honor her memory.
26-year-old Montanae Davis was found shot on Torrington Place Wednesday. She died at the hospital a short time later. 2 News reporter Grace Hewitt is live in Dayton where that event just happened. Grace, how are they remembering her tonight?
Yeah, just behind me is where Montanae's family and friends remembering her. A lot of people showing up to show their support and love, bringing flowers, sharing memories with each other about Montanae. Montanae's family is remembering her as a smart, successful, loving and caring person, someone who would do anything for anybody, regardless if she knew them. This is what the scene looked like minutes ago. Dozens of people sending hundreds of balloons spiraling into the sky in honor of Montanae. This happened on Wednesday morning just before 3 a.m. when officers responded to a report of a shooting where they found 26-year-old Montanae Davis with a gunshot wound. Crews attempted life-saving measures until medics arrived and took her to an area hospital where she later died from her injuries. Montanae's mother says she knew the person who shot her, and that man is now in jail. Now Montanae's family is left to remember how special Montanae truly was.
This has really took a toll on us, and I hope to make it through, because every day I'm gonna mourn, I'm gonna hurt. I can't go to breakfast with my baby. She calls me 6 o'clock in the morning. We go to breakfast after the kids are gone, to daycare and school, and she was a wonderful sister.
Now again, Dayton police do have someone in custody, and they are still asking anyone who might have any information to call Dayton police or Crime Stoppers at 222-STOP.
While the legal process involving Jamarte Brown continues, the impact of Montanae Davis's murder resonated deeply, far beyond the courtrooms. The community of Dayton responded with profound sorrow. Tributes poured in, remembering the woman Montanae was. Her funeral service was a moment for loved ones to gather, and she was laid to rest. Support efforts like a GoFundMe campaign showed people coming together to help her family. A balloon release served as a visual expression of collective grief and remembrance. These actions speak to the love and positive influence Montanae had on those around her. She is remembered not just for the way her life ended, but for the full, vibrant life she lived. Montanae, the caring registered nurse. Montanae, the creative event decorator balancing her passions. Above all, Montanae, the devoted mother whose greatest joy was her 2 young daughters. Her memory is carried forward by her family and friends who knew her kindness, intelligence, and warm spirit. Montanae's story stands as a clear example of the devastating consequences of domestic violence. It highlights how quickly threats can escalate when control and obsession are present. It underscores the vital importance of taking any threat seriously. And it forces us to confront the reality that, despite Montana taking the courageous step of calling 911, the system in place was unable to protect her effectively in those final moments. The impact on her daughters, now left without their mother, is the most tragic consequence of all. Her story also prompted discussions about the complexities of sharing personal lives, like new relationships, publicly, and how that can sometimes intersect with the dynamics of past relationships, though it is crucial to state that the responsibility for the violence rests solely with the perpetrator. To the family of Montana Davis, we send our deepest, most heartfelt condolences. We are truly heartbroken by your unimaginable loss. We hold you in our thoughts during this incredibly difficult time. Montana's experience offers urgent lessons. Learn to recognize the signs of controlling or obsessive behavior. Take any threat of violence, no matter the source, with the utmost seriousness. Seek help from trusted friends, family, and authorities if you are in a threatening situation. Understand that leaving an abusive or threatening relationship can be a time of heightened danger, and advocate for stronger support and more effective protection systems for anyone facing domestic threats. Let us also cultivate the habit of checking on each other. That friend who suddenly stopped posting on social media? Reach out. That coworker whose ex keeps showing up at the workplace? Offer support. That family member whose partner seems controlling? Stay connected. Sometimes the difference between life and death is simply knowing you're not alone, that someone sees what's happening and cares enough to help. Have you ever wondered if our legal system truly understands the urgency of domestic threats? When someone says my ex is threatening to kill me, why isn't that treated with the same immediate response as other life-threatening emergencies? What would you say to lawmakers if you could help shape policies to protect people like Montana? Would you focus on faster response times, stricter enforcement of restraining orders, earlier intervention when threats first appear? For Montana's children, these questions aren't academic. They're deeply personal. They'll grow up wondering why the system designed to protect their mother couldn't save her, even when she explicitly named her killer before he arrived. If you believe we need stronger protections for those facing domestic threats, hit that like button. Your engagement helps this story reach more people who might influence policy or help someone in danger. Share this video with your local representatives or domestic violence advocacy groups. Sometimes, real change starts with raising awareness about specific failures in the system. Remember that desperate 911 call Montana made at the very beginning of this story? It wasn't just a report of a crime. It was a warning sign delivered with terrifying clarity. It's a reminder that when danger is seen and reported, our collective response matters. Honoring Montana means working towards a future where calls for help are always met with timely, effective protection. Montana Davis lived a life full of purpose and love. Her memory endures, not in silence, but as a driving force against the violence that took her. It's a call for awareness, for action, and for ensuring that the plea for help arrives in time. What changes do we need to see in how society responds to domestic threats? How can communities better support individuals trying to leave dangerous situations? And what weight do you feel knowing Montana took steps to get help, but it wasn't enough? If you're looking for more true crime stories with mystery, thrilling suspense, justice for victims, and understanding human behaviors, hit the subscribe button now. And turn on the notification bell icon below, so you'll be among the first to know when we put out a new true crime story. Don't hesitate to check out our other videos as well. Join the conversation in the comments, and together, we'll explore how we can make a difference in our society and ensure justice for victims like Montana. Thanks for watching till the end, and until next time, stay safe.